This is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News 9. English news as it should be.
Thanks very much for tuning into Unmissable. I'm Nabila Jamal. You're watching News 9. I take you through news from India and across the globe. Let me start with our top story tonight. We're looking at unruly passenger behaviour. Now we'll see zero tolerance. The Dgca, our Aviation Authority of India, has decided that any unruly passenger now will face a ban of up to 30 days of travel if they are found to be violating a few of your norms that they've listed out. I'm going to take you through that list. If you are a bad behaved passenger, you could face a ban from 1 month up to 6 months and even up to 2 years. We'll take you through those details on this zero tolerance framework that our Indian aviation has come up with. Also, our top story tonight is Kerala Story 2. The first film already had kicked up a lot of controversy, but yet did very well at the box office. Now you have, just ahead of Kerala elections, Kerala Story 2. That's now come about with Chief Minister of Kerala slamming it, calling this poisonous communal propaganda. We're going to take you through details on that. And finally, Prince Andrew, the ex-royal, has been arrested with connection to the Epstein files. Stay with us for more after the headlines. At least 16 people have been killed, 14 injured after a gas explosion caused part of a residential building to collapse in Karachi's Soldier Bazaar area. Bangladesh restricts SpiceJet planes from flying over its land over pending dues. Restriction to affect flights departing to northeast India through Kolkata. French President Macron lauds new Rafale deal with India, says that we are committed to having a maximum number of Indian components, adds deal will better Indo-French strategic ties and create more jobs in India. After initially dismissing reports of alliance, Dgca General Secretary Premalatha Vijayan joins DMK alliance under the leadership of CM Stalin ahead of 2026 assembly elections. Supreme Court comes down heavily on freebies by political parties of all states and expressed concern over its impact on public finances. Producer Neeraj Pandey withdraws the title Ghushkhor Pandit as directed by the Supreme Court, removes all trailers and promotional material released under the earlier name. French President Emmanuel Macron visits Delhi's historic Gurudwara Bangla Sahib amid the India AI Impact Summit, paying respects, learning about the Sikh community heritage as well. All right, let's take you through the zero tolerance policy that the Indian aviation industry is now all set to adopt. No more tolerance to unruly passengers on Indian flights. As of February 2026, the Director General of Civil Aviation, Dgca, in India has proposed a stringent zero tolerance policy to deal with unruly passengers. A response shaped by, of course, increasing number of disruptive behavior that's been reported on flights and out. Under the draft rules now, airlines would be empowered to impose an immediate 30-day flying ban on passengers for misconduct, such as fighting, punching, unauthorized alcohol usage, smoking, other disruptive acts. The proposal retains a graded penalty system with escalating bans. So this is a graded rule. Level 1 offence is up to 3 months. Level 2 offence up to 6 months. Both level 3 and the newly introduced level 4, that's cockpit breach, that carries a maximum ban on passengers of up to 2 years. Airlines must also implement standard operating procedures, SOPs, to detect and report unruly behavior before boarding itself. Stakeholders will have until March 16th, 2026 that's barely a month from now, to provide feedback on these new rules before it actually comes into effect. These proposals follow a series of high-profile unruly passenger incidents that have been reported in India, and it's really tested the rules that are currently in place. Like, for example, one case where a passenger slapped an airline staff as he was announcing a delay in Indigo flight. On 15th of July last year, SpiceJet flight from Delhi to Mumbai, two passengers repeatedly attempted to approach the cockpit. They tried to enter the cockpit while the flight was taxiing. It forced the flight itself to return to the terminal. And they were handed to security at that point. But how do you stop this? Also, beyond in-flight violence, the regulator has taken action against behavior on the ground as well. Remember, in August 2025, the Dgca placed an Indian Army officer on a 5-year no-fly list after he assaulted multiple SpiceJet staff members at Srinagar airport, including punches and kicks that caused serious injuries. One has also seen incidents on international flights where a passenger smoked in a lavatory and another passenger urinated on a co-traveler's seat and blanket. This kind of behavior basically violates all existing rules, but a proper framework was never in place. It seems like now the Dgca has implemented it. They want this to come into effect in barely a month's time, and they're getting reviews and feedback from the airlines on what they think of this. But remember, the airline can actually ban you for 30 days without actually having a discussion over it as well. If they intend to, they can. These incidents illustrate a spectrum of disruptive and unsafe conduct. Verbal harassment, intoxicated behavior, physical assault, attempted cockpit access, trying to open emergency doors. Regulators and airlines will now be able to address these issues a lot more swiftly and seriously under the proposed zero tolerance framework. Remember, these cases can't and should not be pardoned so easily. They cause flight delays, operational disruptions, distress to thousands of passengers and crew. If one flight comes around or one flight is cancelled, you can imagine the ripple effect. Most flights of that airline get impacted. Well, but the question is, can the airline have absolute authority to ban a passenger for 30 days with immediate effect without an independent review? Is that the right way forward or too harsh? Will stricter rules finally restore discipline in India's skies? Let me bring in Captain Prashant Dalla, former Flight Operations Inspector, Dgca. We also have Captain C.S. Randhawa, aviation expert and President, Federation of Indian Pilot. Squadron Leader Akshay Chopra joining us. Thanks very much, all of you. Let me start with Captain Prashant Dalla. Your take on this unruly behavior can land you to be blacklisted for up to 2 years. The airline has absolute authority to give you an instant 30-day ban if they believe you weren't complying with the rules. Is this too harsh in your view?
Nabila, good evening, and to all your viewers as well. Please understand, safety and security is a very broad concept. When the regulator is forming such rules and regulations, it is the duty of crew, give them proper trainings. And like you covered in your report, there are particular levels. It talks about level 1, 2, all the way till 4, which is an actual attempt to the cockpit. So I think it's a very important thing, seeing the growing trajectory where India is heading to. Such kind of rules is mandatory. And any kind of a breach in terms of the airline or the activities happening at the airport should be taken up at the highest seriousness level.
But do we have anything like this abroad? Is there any international guideline that we are following on these levels that we've, this approach of level 1, 2, 3? Level 1 is 1 month ban. Level 2 is about 3 months ban. Level 3 and 4 is 6 months to 2 years. So is this an international standard? Akshay Chopra, if you want to comment on that.
Hi Nabila, thank you for having me. First of all, when it comes to this particular rule, this was very well in place earlier also, and most probably since 2017. But then the problem was that this rule was very inconsistent, and there were a couple of loopholes which they have tried to, plug it now. For example, earlier there was no national database for passengers. Now, and the airlines also did not have much power to punish the offenders. But now they have a database wherein if a offender is found and he's found guilty, then if one airline bans the passenger, the other airlines will also be have to apply imply with the same rule. Then other than that, proper demarcation of level 1, 2, 3, and 4, which they have done now. But there are also questions which come in here that how do we actually decide whether the behavior is actually unruly and there was no problem for the other side. So now there have been absolutely unruly cases wherein people have been found drunk, misbehaving with the passengers and with the crew, and there have been cases wherein people have actually threatened the pilots that they'll crash the aircraft. So there was this incident with the Bangalore doctor in Air India Express, people even pissing on seats. Of course, these are very serious offenses and they must be punished. But what about when we spoke about the army guy who was assaulting, we were never told about the other side of the story. Why exactly a trained army officer had to go to that extent? So with the DGCA, the Indigo fiasco which recently happened, the passengers were, they had no option but to behave in that particular manner. So we'll have to really have a review board. That's why it's more of a proposed change, and we have to really have an independent body to decide whether the act was actually punishable, or is it something
Which is why I ask, how can authorities prevent misuse of this? How do you classify a passenger as unruly? What are the parameters? We don't know yet. I'm sure there are. I'm sure the DGCA must have come up with sensibly come up with these frameworks and these levels. But yet, as a passenger, I'd want to know what part of my behavior can be categorized as unruly. That's most important. Captain Randhawa.
Okay, Nabila, this regulation was existent earlier under Section 3 of the CR and under Series M. So this was existent for an unruly passenger earlier, and you had earlier instances of you could give a warning from the captain going, and then subsequently you can handcuff the passenger. So all sorts of things were there in the CR. Now they want to amend that CR and get into level 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, I have not heard of international regulations which are classifying these as level 1, 2, 3, 4. So now, if they're taking a step, I think it's in the right direction, because as far as in the aircraft is concerned, I think safety is of paramount importance. So people, some passengers have gone ahead and started opening the door in the air. Okay, some people have started smoking in the lavatories. So these are serious things, or manhandling the crew in flight. Now, those are serious repercussions, because which can lead to a diversion of an aircraft, and it is interest of the safety that these rules must come into place. However, whenever such a incident takes place, there has to be an inquiry held. It cannot be just unilaterally, like until unless you have the evidence, and then you can go ahead. But otherwise, this should be confined only to the aircraft, not what is happening, because the airlines get away like what Indigo did during the crisis period. Now, where the passengers were agitated because they were not informed. So at the airport, this should not be applicable. This applicability should be confined to the unruly passengers in flight. And that is of paramount importance. I have no dispute on that. So if India is going ahead and making such a regulation, it is in the right direction towards the air safety and maintaining proper decorum in the aircraft. So this is my view on the CR, which is going to be shortly coming. The draft CR will be
From
coming.
what I understand from you, sir, you're saying there's no international rules of that are similar to this of level 1, level 2, level 3.
Level 4,
yes,
yeah.
Captain Dalla.
You see, there is a proper guideline given by the International Civil Aviation Organization. It is covered under certain documents and circulars. They have categorically mentioned the three important levels, which the government of India has also followed. Seeing the threat perception and the security scenario in the country, the level 4 has been added, which is an attempt on an actual breach inside the cockpit premises. Now, that is taken as a national threat. There is no review given. There is no tolerance given to such kind of miscreants who attempt or the cockpit and cause a safety threat. And it is a very welcome move. Adding to what my senior Captain Randhawa has mentioned, it is very important to understand the concept of airside, airport, landside aircraft. Now, he said a very particular point, which he talks about aircraft in flight. Now, that is of very importance. Whenever the aircraft is in flight, that means when your doors are shut, whatever activity is happening inside the aircraft, that the airline crew is liable to take action. The pilot in command is the sole individual who is responsible for that flight. Thus, the government has categorized into different levels, which is verbal, physical, an alteration or an attempt to the cockpit. Thus, the penalties have been also designed in such a way. I'm purely talking about unruly behavior here.
From the looks of it, it appears, from what I sense with answers given by all of you, is it's a rule that's already in place. It's just now being, I don't know, vetted again and probably implemented better. Is that what you're trying to say? Implemented better? Why wasn't it implemented so long? They say a customer is king. So airlines also are not taking on customers the way they could have. But I think in a country like ours, where you have hardly any civic sense, people are misbehaved a lot of times. A zero tolerance policy is what we really probably need. We're embarrassing ourselves on global stage time and again. We have people from all over the world who travel the domestic airlines and even international, right? So our people, and it's not just for us, the rules also apply across any passenger, not just Indian passengers, right? Any passenger. But Captain Randhawa, your take on, these instances, now that this news has come out, passengers would fear that the airlines have more authority than we do. We are customers, we are supposed to be treated with a lot of warmth. But here now the aviation industry, which we are contributing to, is trying to penalize us. 30-day ban is not a small thing. And what happens to all the, lack of coordination, wrong information, no information given or not given from the airline's behalf to the passengers when they need to? The violations committed by the airlines. Who takes that up?
So that is what I'm saying, that this has to be classified into two categories. When the aircraft doors are shut and the aircraft moves on its own power, till the time the doors open. So it has to be one set of rules have to be classified as level 1, 2, 3, 4, as they have done so. And on the ground, they should delink it. They should either have a separate regulation for that, what happens at the airport, or when the doors are open. That a separate or a subsection of the CR should mention that. Because what happens that the 30-day ban, which the airline would be empowered to take against a passenger, I think that is prima facie, they will check that what has happened. And supposing someone has gone to assault a cabin crew, right? So they are empowered to even register an FIR. That was there earlier also, that the captain of the aircraft, he signs that, and the FIR has to be lodged against that passenger, and you take, and then becomes a civil case. So there are rules in place. However, that 30-day ban by an airline, that should be based prima facie on the facts. And this cannot be arbitrarily that today something has happened and tomorrow there is a ban. So there has to be some sort of an investigation by the airline also to justify that what is correct, because you have to hear both sides of the story. And if they have got some video clip or other sources of evidence.
Do you believe a CCTV camera inside aircraft is what we need also? I don't know if it is a personal...
Nowhere in the world I have
Yeah.
seen. Firstly, these cameras, they were being suggested in the cockpit. No country has put these cameras in the cockpit, not even in the cabin. Nowhere in the world. I have not heard of any aircraft which has got cameras.
But it's not like it's a private space, it's a public space. In that sense, you are buying a ticket and it's a public space.
It is a public space. I agree with you that you could have cameras, but I don't know what are the legal repercussions. So it has to be checked legally.
That's precisely why it comes down to behavior, right? It is a very controlled environment. Tickets are expensive; it's not cheap. You're hoping that people who come on board are, behaved and mannered. That's what the least you expect. But then there are airlines also giving alcohol. There are international flights that are serving you alcohol.
Yes.
Won't that prompt you?
But you are not supposed to be drinking your own alcohol on board.
No, but what if the passenger drinks the airline's alcohol and then loses his mind?
Because the number of drinks which are served are limited. Limited. So is no question of a person getting drunk until unless person starts drinking his own liquor which is bought from the duty free.
Okay.
And that you can't stop because he'll put it in a hip flask.
So then that's what I'm saying. Then see now duty free also. Duty free also don't limit you. I mean, you can buy from duty free and walk into the aircraft.
But at the airport, Nabila, let me tell you, I have seen even a captain getting arrested because he was in a state of he had a few drinks on board and he was in uniform.
That is very common, sir.
And you'll be surprised. This was a captain in uniform arrested in Dubai. Because he was traveling passenger, but he was in uniform.
Squadron leader Akshay Chopra wants to comment on that.
Yeah, so I'm just adding to Captain Dhaba and Captain Dhalla's statements only, and you just used the words, civic sense. So unfortunately, having higher price tickets and all and money doesn't get you class and civic sense. If you cannot control your drinking, then you are liable to be punished, and there is no doubt about it. Secondly, as Captain Dhalla just very clearly said, that all the aviation safety rules are under ICAO, and these rules are not just in India. Whether it's Federation of Aviation Authority in US, it's UK, Europe, your Middle East, every airlines has these rules where you can be arrested, you can be fined with thousands of dollars, you can be jailed, you can be banned. So these rules are well in place, and this is an unfortunate fact that in India, these cases come out to be more. And in India, whether it's on road, whether it's in flight, there is a danda which we need to, give at time to time to Indians. So this is unfortunately a bitter fact. But then as we have all discussing that, whenever such an incident happens in air, then there has to be a reviewing authority. And according to the rules also, you have the right to review. In case you are implied with a ban, you have the right to review with government panels. There'll be a retired judge who will be under whose jurisdiction you will be there, and you can appeal in case there is something wrong. Plus, there are so many passengers out there. It's not just that, a minor incident which nobody has seen and suddenly there is a 2-year ban on the person. It doesn't happen like this. It's always a serious case with everybody is there. There's ample evidence, there are ample people watching such things.
Okay, so but there are a lot of contrary theories to a fight as well, right? Like if you have a crew member arguing with the customer's version is different, the crew member's version is different. How do you evaluate that?
Look, somewhere down the line, it's called basic education. Whenever you're traveling somewhere, especially in a flight, whether it's in India or abroad, your aim should be to curb down the controversy or a fight which is
I'm just showing you visual on top. Let no one confuse the visual on top to be people creating ruckus unnecessarily. This was the Indigo meltdown. I want to clearly say the visual that we are using on top is the Indigo meltdown, where passengers really lost their mind. Right. They were waiting for 15 hours. So this is for our viewers' discretion, that the visual that we are playing here is not misbehavior of passengers. It's frustration and anger of the passengers on the airline. Now, if a situation like this happens,
if a situation like this, Nabila, happened, what has the airline been fined? Only 22 crores?
Correct.
For 15 days, 12 days, the whole country was brought to a standstill and the people, they went to a harrowing experience. And it was really pity that 22 crores of fine. You know, when Southwest Airlines, the similar thing happened in 2023, the federal government fined them over $140 million, which is in excess of 2,000 crores. So, like, that is what I said. When these rules are made, they have to be classified into two parts: in flight and at the airport. That is outside the aircraft. So you cannot have the same set of rules going, because you're giving a full advantage to the airlines. What is happening in the they are never punished for anything. The delays, the passenger funds, there are so many problems which are faced by the passengers. Those are not addressed. They keep writing to Air Seva, they keep writing to Dgca, and some of them they lose the track also.
Captain Dalla, your take on what's the best solution now? We understand 16th of March exactly is when these rules will come into effect properly. You're saying it's already there. I don't know what they're now implementing again. So basically with a little correction and with level 4, it's going to be added and implemented post March 16th. What in your view is the best approach? Do you feel this is the right way that we are moving ahead?
Well, I personally feel, in my personal capacity, this is a very important aspect in India. Seeing the threat perception, the safety and the security part should be dealt with together. However, like my senior panelists have just mentioned, that the chaos, the rage happening at the land side or the terminal building should be categorized. It should be more elaborative in nature, and should also take the public sentiment in consideration. However, we must understand that be it the ground staff or the pilot, they are all trained professionals. They are undergoing regular trainings. They are going through regular checks and procedures. So the distinction should be there. It is important. And that is one of the prime reasons that the government has kept this particular draft open for the public comments for a period of 30 days.
As far as I see it, I don't think customers are going to be very happy with this ruling. Passengers are going to have a sense of fear, which I think is not fair. Akshay Chopra, you want to give your suggestion to those customers who are probably watching this news, passengers watching this news and wondering if they even cross their leg inappropriately, they might just be banned?
It doesn't happen like this, Nabila. And look, if you ask me personally, I have absolutely no problem with the rules. And somewhere down the line, Indians do need these type of rules to keep the check.
No, but don't you think a fine is a better thing if you fine the customer?
That's where they have the levels. It's not that suddenly anybody will be banned. They have level 1 for verbal abuse. If you're doing a drunken nuisance, you may be banned for a couple of days and maybe a bit of fine. Then level 2, level 3, and eventually the most serious, which is level 4. A minor incident won't get you suddenly banned. It has to be reviewed properly.
Okay, now what is this review properly? We don't know, right? Now, what about across airlines? Is there a list that they share amongst each other that, hey, this passenger was unruly on our aircraft, we've banned him, so you follow the same? Is that how it works? And how do they score off the names? Captain Randhawa?
See, normally whenever unruly passengers, they maintain all these records with the airlines, and through Dgca they are sharing this. Since last few years, we are seeing when the ban takes place and that it goes across to all the airlines. So there is already these things are in place, and I would say that what my panelists rightly said, that there has to be a combination. You have to have fines along with no-fly. You can't have just for everything level 1 to 4 all no-fly. So you need checks and balances, because you are for a minor offense. Then what do you do? For a major offense, what do you do? Like the same is, if you see in the judiciary system also, we have the same thing, the punishments. So that way, I think there should be a combination of both. It is not only just no fly, 30 days, no fly this, no fly that. So then I don't think so that is a correct regulation to be implemented.
Saying that you don't quite welcome it unless there is transparency in the process.
Correct.
All right. So we've got to wait and watch what when this would come into effect, if there is enough consultation, what the airlines would say on their behalf. I'm sure airlines will be, for one, happy that they can actually take cognizance and there's a set framework for them to act on. Because otherwise, you have the attitude is customer is king. They are trained in such a way where no matter what and how a customer behaves, which is not fair on the crew as well, but you got to hold your ground, be polite and, do your thing. You bear that assault, verbal assault, physical assault. We've seen all of that. So crew members are trained to be good and nice, but not always, right? It could happen the other way around as well. Anyway, thanks very much, all of you. I really appreciate you joining us on this. We're going to wait to see what these rules really specify when they do come into effect. A quick break. We'll be right back on the other side on the Kerala Story 2, a movie that's now due to release. The trailer is out and the Chief Minister, Kerala Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan says it's absolute poison, communal poison. We're going to take you through the details and the controversy of it. Stay with us.
रश्मि, ये मैडम बड़े शहर से छोटे शहर बसने जा रही है, बताओ। छोटे छोटे शहरों में ही तो है बड़े बड़े अखाड़े, नए नए दावपेच सीखेगी और फ्यूचर में मेडल जीतेगी। और बेटा, इनका फ्यूचर?
बड़े पापा, SBI लाइफ से इनका फ्यूचर सिक्योर है।
अभी तो इसकी जीत के इरादा पक्का है। करो पूरे अपने इरादे, अपनों से किए सभी वादे। SBI लाइफ अपने लिए, अपनों के लिए।
पढ़ता है, खेलता है, झूलता उछलता है, दौड़ता कभी कभी दौड़ कराता है, आगे आगे बढ़ता है इंडिया, अमूल दूध पीता है इंडिया।
When drinking water turns deadly, it demands answers.
What is really going on there?
News 9 brings you
Imagine water that you drink.
contaminated drinking water in Indore, revealing a disturbing link to at least 15 reported deaths.
Typhoid outbreak in tribal areas. 104 patients.
After 15 people were killed.
Foul, frothy water from taps.
You would assume it's safe. It turned deadly.
How is that happening?
Different cities. One national crisis. Bharat. Quest for clean water. News 9. In your interest.
Welcome back. Let's take you through the story, the Kerala Story, the film that's due to be released, the trailer of which is out. The trailer of Kerala Story 2 is out. The movie is barely a few weeks away from its release, and Narayan has slammed the film, calling it poisonous propaganda. He's put out a message on X saying and warning that this sequel to what he describes as hate-mongering film must be viewed with utmost seriousness. He says Kerala had already rejected the communal agenda and blatant lies of the first film, The Kerala Story, and would once again resist the attempts to demonize the state's secular fabric. He's also questioned about fabricated narratives that incite discord, receive space, while critically artistic expression often faces rejection and restrictions. Meanwhile, the controversy has now moved to court. Kerala High Court has issued a notice to the makers of the Kerala Story 2 film and the Central Board of Film Certification over a petition seeking a cancellation of the censor certification granted to this film. The petition was filed by Sridev Nambuthiri from Kannur district, who argues that this film, the Kerala Story 2, the sequel, contains malicious stereotyping that scandalizes an entire state without factual basis. In his plea, he states that the trailer suggests a storyline involving women from 3 different states, and the events occurring largely are in northern India in the Kerala Story 2. Yet the film's title is Kerala Story, saying that this singles out Kerala, portraying it in a negative light. He further argues that such depiction risks alienating Kerala and Keralites from the rest of the country, despite Keralites contributing so much. A reply from the film's producer, Sunshine Pictures, as well. The next hearing is scheduled on February 24th. The censor board has already granted the film a UA certification. It's slated for theatrical release on Feb 27, 2026. It's directed by Kamakhya Narayan Singh. The film focuses on young women allegedly caught in forced religious conversion rackets. The makers say it is based on documented cases within India's legal systems and aims to raise awareness. It's basically inspired from true stories. Producer Vipul Amritlal Shah maintains that the intent of the film is only to inform and empower young people to stay alert and make informed choices. Critics, however, have slammed this film, calling it propaganda, accusing it of amplifying selective narratives and potentially fueling communal tensions. The director has responded to the Chief Minister's criticism as well. He says that the CM is not accepting the reality, not accepting truth. Rajeev Chandrasekhar, who's a BJP chief in Kerala, he's defended the film, arguing that freedom of expression must be upheld and that those who disagree are free not to watch the film. If you don't like it, don't watch it. The first film, released in 2023, triggered nationwide protests and debate. It went on to become a box office success, though, earning over 300 crores worldwide. It was made on a 20 crore budget. It later also won national awards for Best Director and Best Cinematography. Now, with elections around the corner and political tempers rising, the Kerala Story 2 is shaping up to be more than a film release. Remember, just weeks ago, the makers of the film, Manoj Bajpayee starrer film, Ghushkhor Pandit, that film faced legal challenges over the film's title. Petitioners argued that the name normalized hate against Brahmins and Pandits. The Supreme Court then intervened and asked the filmmakers to change the title, observing that the freedom of expression cannot be used as a license to denigrate any section of the society. Now, will that principle become the benchmark as now courts hear the petition against the Kerala Story 2 title as well?
To distract the people of Kerala from his 10 years of failure. Nobody, and I respectfully want to tell Mr. Pinarayi Vijayan, nobody has appointed you protector. There is no need for you to act like you're a protector of any community. There is a constitution, there are courts, there are other mechanisms. Every Indian today, every Malayali is given the same fundamental right. You don't need to rush in and pretend that you are some savior. So stop making fools out of people. This movie will operate, this movie will be shown, because just as much as you have the right to watch a movie, I have the right to watch a movie. Just as any director has a right to make a movie, this director also has a right to make a movie. If you have a problem with it and if there is something illegal in the movie, go to the court. But don't try and threaten people. Don't try and use your Chief Minister's position to create fear amongst people. That we will not allow.
All right, that said, it seems like activists have gone to court. Now, the court has issued a notice. We're going to see what the court decides ultimately on that. But former MP and CPIM leader Sebastian Paul, Doctor, would you want to come in on that? You heard what Rajeev Chandrasekhar had to say.
No, the statement made by Mr. Rajeev Chandrasekhar deserves no reply. He is the chief of a popular TV channel in Kerala. He is a politician heading the state unit of the BJP. And I was wondering how he can tell all these things in such a manner. Not only Pinarayi Vijayan, but every citizen of Kerala has the right to condemn this movie because it is based on unreal facts and it is highly defamatory and malignant on the state. They claim that this is Kerala Story. The director says this is Kerala Story number 2. Not an imagination or a fabricated story. There is no disclaimer either. So how can the censor board pass this type of a picture for public viewership, giving a certificate? But at the same time, a film made by Vijay in Tamil Nadu. It is also a big project. It is even now not able to reach the theaters. So such double standards in the name of this political thinking to malign a state for its progressive outlook and democratic setup, all those things are highly condemnable. And as advised by Mr. Chandrasekhar, somebody has gone to the court and the High Court has issued notice to the director to explain or to give a reply to the allegations made in the petition.
Sir, while you say that, you're saying it's not factual, but the filmmakers say it's inspired by true cases. So, are you basically refusing any of those reports that may have come up on forced conversion? And initially there were talks.
No, I am a person living in Kerala, involved in public affairs, all those things. We have not yet come across a position as narrated by the director of this film, both 1 and 2, Kerala Story 1 and 2. What is the basis of his allegations? Is there any evidence to show all these things? So it is quite an absurdity to malign a state for its principled stand on secularism and other things. So it cannot be allowed, and I hope the court will take a stern position in the matter.
Sent a notice now. We're going to see how they respond to it. But Rahul Ishwar, would you want to come up with a little bit of facts that the story has been inspired on? We know that the makers of Kerala Story 1 and 2 very openly are claiming that this is inspired on true facts. But you and I also know that the facts have been, based on certain few cases. The story has been amplified to make it look like an alarming situation, in a way also certainly maligning the state of Kerala, certainly maligning the Muslim community.
Two quick facts and submissions. One, truth always lies somewhere in the middle. That's the unfortunate reality, and we have to search for that beautiful middle. First one, Kerala Story 1 was based on the life of 3 girls, Nimisha Fatima, who I personally knew, Sonia, Sebastian and Mariam. Yes, but as you rightly said, it got into an astronomical exaggeration of making it 32,000 people from Kerala. That is absolutely ridiculous, like Sebastian Polsar said. But 3 instances of forced conversions were a reality. And let me quote a very famous incident of forced conversion that Sebastian Polsar and I will agree upon. It was the forced conversion of Mahatma Gandhi's son, Harilal, to Harilal Abdullah Gandhi. It was very unfortunate, and our father of the nation, Bapu, himself wrote about it. So there has been far and few, but forced conversion incidents. But the issue here is, it has been astronomically exaggerated to such an extent that it creates Islamophobia, demonization of one particular community. So I think we have to take the position from the middle, where we acknowledge the far and few 0.00001% incidents, agree that some things have happened. But at the same point of time, we should be guarded against the Islamophobic angle, the entire demonization of community angle. And I really felt very bad and irritated seeing this, some of the activities in this trailer where even the guy is conspiring with his own mother to trap Hindu girls. See, such things don't happen. See, let us be very honest and open about it. Such kind of extreme demonization is extremely painful, and Kerala is known for being one of the most pluralistic, harmonious state. Even when we go to our most sacred temple, Shabarimala, we on the way en route we offer our prayers at Vavar Swami's mosque and Velutha's church. That has been the culture of Kerala, and even inside the holy Hindu temple of Shabarimala, we have an Islamic shrine inside. But yes, far and few, there has been some instances. There has been an instance of nearly 160
precisely, the few instances that have happened, to make it look like there is an organized state machinery behind this conversion racket that's aiding and abetting in these cases of conversion and some cases, recruitment into ISIS and whatnot. Those who do not know Kerala well and are watching from afar are going to be viewing the state in poor light, and that is not fair.
I would humbly request them, let us trust Amit Shah ji and Ajit Doval ji. Ajit Doval ji, who is known as the James Bond of India, and NSA and our Home Ministry and NIA under them gave a categorical affidavit saying that there is no love jihad. So it is NIA, Honorable Supreme Court, who has taken cognizance of this issue, and they have categorically given this. At the same point of time, far and few, 1 in a million, Kerala is home to 1 crore of our Muslim brothers who we celebrate and we hold together. For example, as a Hindu activist, I regularly take Ramzan fasting in consolidation with our Muslim brothers. Yes, there has been a far and few instance that can happen in any community, but that should not be exaggerated to such an extent to create a propaganda kind of a narrative. That's the reason why I would humbly urge the left to take the position that yes, 1, 2, and 3 incident has happened. Nearly some people have gone to ISIS. Unfortunate, but it is a failure of all of us. It's a failure of Sebastian Polsar. It's a failure of Rahul Ishwar. It's a failure of our society. That
It's also imperative on our national security forces also to keep a watch. The NIA is also got to keep a vigil. It's not just a state problem. This is a cross-border issue. Yeah.
It's our collective failure.
Correct.
Just
no, but
just
the film,
and it'll be interesting for you. And it'll be interesting for you. The person who gave the complaint against this is Sridev Nambudri. He belongs to Brahmin community. Nambudri is the surname of Brahmins. He is a Brahmin Hindu who has gone against this Islamophobic content to Honorable High Court, raising a very valid, I have gone through his affidavit, a very strong affidavit saying that it can really hurt the fabric of Kerala. So let us be a bit more centrist in this approach and see it as what it is. Yes, 1, 2 unfortunate, extremely unfortunate incident happened. Nobody should be blamed. But at the same point of time, the astronomical exaggeration of making it 3 to 32,000 is unfortunate, and nobody is going to push beef inside anybody's mouth. See, I am a vegetarian, but I have great friends who eat beef. That's their choice of food. That's their dietary choice. So we should respect that. I think a Gandhian position is important, whereas Gandhiji considered cow as his mother. But at the same point of time said, our Muslim brother may eat beef. That is his choice. So some kind of much more of a centrist position is what we have to take in these very sensitive issues.
You beautifully articulated it, Rahul Ishwar, and that's precisely what I'm of the view of as well. And I'm sure anybody of a sane mind are of the view that certain few cases when it happens does not mean a state is behind it or a community is behind it. Maligning a state or a community is unfair. Ghushkar Pandit, that was a film which ran into controversy recently. What's your view on that? In fact, Pinarayi Vijayan himself said it, that films that are critically acclaimed don't find space. Such propaganda films find space. But anyway, that apart, Ghushkar Pandit, a name that was given to this film releasing on Netflix, came into controversy with Supreme Court stepping in after criticism that claimed Brahmins were, hate against Brahmin was normalized. And now the Supreme Court asked the filmmakers to change the name of Ghushkar Pandit. They have changed it. They've removed all the images. In fact, I found it difficult to find this poster as well. They've dropped it all over, everywhere. The petitioner for Kerala Story 2 is also saying the same thing, that if there are cases across India, largely based in North India, then why is the movie being called the Kerala Story 2? Is it not maligning the state of Kerala? And does this not malign a community at large? Don't you think this comparison should be made, Rahul?
Absolutely, ma'am. Absolutely. See, whether a person is a Brahmin, Hindu, Muslim, Dalit, Christian, non-believer, any political class, this blanket hatred is the issue. Our real issue is hatred. That means we have to find somebody to hate. It's a real problem of India now. You have to have some kind of a target every day so that we can have our moral outrage or, rage baiting is an issue that's not only happening in India but worldwide. But rather we should choose the path of respect. Yes, we can disagree with some people. We have to disagree with respect, not disrespect. And the whole idea of hating one community are there, Ghushkar Pandit, especially me being a Brahmin, I felt bad about it because that shows my community in absolute negative light, or some other community, Christian community or Muslim community or Hindu community, Dalit community or Adivasi brothers and sisters. So we should be
Supreme Court was quick to take up the issue. Supreme Court was quick to take up the issue, quickly directed the movie makers to drop the title, and now it's all out. They're changing the name also. So quick, right? But Dr. Sebastian, a final word from you. Are you saying that the Kerala Story you are saying it's demeaning to the state and the community? The CM has also said that actual films that are critically acclaimed get no space, while propaganda films have all the space. Do you feel that the courts as well not giving you a year? Because even with Kerala Story 1, there were petitions, there was no change, there was no relief in that sense. Now Kerala Story 2, there's a petition being filed. Are you hoping that the Supreme Court will intervene, just like Ghushkar Pandit?
Nowadays, there are more and more films or filmmakers are coming to the court seeking relief against the arbitrary rejection of certain films by the censor board. But to my experience, the petitioners are not getting a quick justice, because the cinema is such an industry, it requires quick justice from the part of the court. But in that sense, I have no particular hope that the court will decide the matter in time, in favor or in disfavor of the petitioner. But What I said is that since the film has got a proper certification from the film censor board, certification board, it will be legal and for the producers to screen the film for public exhibition. But at the same time, we as proud citizens of this country and people of the state, along with our Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan, we have the right to condemn this film, to expose the seriousness of dangerous.
What's your view of the film releasing right around election time? And if the film releases, how is the government going to counter the misinformation in your view?
There are so many improper things happen in this country. How can we defend it? How can we prevent it? When after obtaining this certificate, it is quite natural that the film will be released in Kerala just before the elections. But I don't think the enlightened people of Kerala will be swayed by such false propaganda.
All right. That's it for me, and I really appreciate both of you for joining us on this. Let's see what the High Court, Kerala High Court, has given the next hearing date on 24th of February. We will follow up on that story. I'm going to cut across to all our top stories on day tonight. Let's start with the big arrest, probably the first high-profile arrest that's happened in the Epstein file case. Prince Andrew, the ex-royal British family member, has been arrested in the Epstein files case. Formerly known as Prince Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. He's been arrested, but the police are being cautious and said that the arrest was made on suspicion of misconduct in public office. In fact, footage shows police vehicles and officers arriving at his residence on Royal Sandringham Estate, marking an unprecedented moment in modern British royal history. The first royal, we presume, who's been arrested in a scandal like this. Now, we need to remind viewers that authorities have not publicly named him in line with UK law, which typically does not identify suspects at the time of arrest. However, local police in London, including his former residence, confirms that a man in his 60s has been detained as part of an ongoing review into allegations dating back to 2010 to Epstein files. Now, there are TV reports that centers around claiming that during his time as a UK trade envoy, Prince Andrew may have shared potentially confidential trade-related documents with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Police have not confirmed, though, whether the arrest is directly linked to his short, scrutinized association with Jeffrey Epstein. Prince Andrew has consistently denied any wrongdoing, though, over his links to the disgraced financier. Though there were many images, like you see on our screens there, many images in some videos that have cropped up showing Prince Andrew with underage girls, which was allegedly connected to him by Jeffrey Epstein. Basically, he went back to Epstein time and again to access young girls, underage girls. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer said, and I quote, "Nobody is above the law." He said and stated that members of the parliament are free to debate Andrew's links to Epstein. According to reports, one alleged incident dates back to 2010 at Royal Lodge, Andrew's former residence. A woman in her 20s at the time, who is not a British national, has claimed that after spending the night with him, she was served tea and shown around the Buckingham Palace as well. Her attorney has spoken publicly about these claims. There have been no confirmation from the police, though, that this specific allegation forms the current crux of the arrest. But nonetheless, Jeffrey Epstein is now dead and gone, but the controversy and the Epstein files is being thoroughly probed, reaching millions. The documents have now reached millions of people around the world. And as its investigation intensifies, it seems like this is possibly the most high-profile arrest. Imagine a British royal family member becomes really the poster boy of the Epstein files. Now, West Asia is on the edge tonight as tensions between the United States and Iran spiral dangerously. Civilians are now being told to leave Iran. In a fresh warning, Poland has urged its citizens to leave Iran immediately, saying evacuation may soon become possible if the standoff with the US turns into an open conflict. As diplomatic efforts struggle and military deployments surge, all eyes now on Washington and Tehran. Latest coming in that is President Donald Trump held a high-level meeting in the Situation Room with the top US national security officials, where he was briefed on indirect talks with Iran in Geneva and on the expanding US military buildup across West Asia. Sources say Trump is extremely angry over Iran's supreme leader's threat to sink an American aircraft carrier, a warning that has sharply raised the stakes in this confrontation. The White House continues to project diplomacy as its first option, with Press Secretary Caroline saying that the administration has already crippled Iran's nuclear capabilities and that the president prefers dialogue over strikes. On ground, though, talks have delivered little. US and Iranian negotiators exchanged notes for over 3.5 hours in Geneva, but walked away without any breakthrough. And if reports from a foreign media is to be believed, then US military could be ready for action as early as this weekend, even though no final decision has been taken by the president. This comes amid a massive US military buildup in West Asia, with warships, fighter jets and refueling aircraft now moving into forward positions. Appears to be aiming at Iran. Iran too appears to be bracing for this possible conflict. Fresh satellite images show Tehran reinforcing sensitive military and nuclear facilities, burying tunnel entrances, strengthening underground structures and repairing missile bases damaged in last year's strikes. With evacuation warnings now issued, forces mobilized, diplomacy failing to cool tempers, the region is now standing on a knife's edge. The world is watching to see who blinks first. Now, on one hand, Bangladesh is signaling a reset in ties with India. On the other hand, it has shut its airspace to India's SpiceJet. 2 tracks, 1 relationship, moving in opposite directions. In sports, a thaw may finally be in sight in the strained cricket ties between Bangladesh Cricket Board and the Board of Control for Cricket in India. Bangladesh's newly appointed State Minister for Youth and Sports, Aminul Haq, has signalled a willingness to reset relations, stressing dialogue, cooperation and rebuilding trust with India. He confirmed that he has already held talks with India's Deputy High Commissioner, saying Dhaka wants to resolve differences through friendly discussions. He's also questioned the election of Bangladesh Cricket, the Cricket Board, who were in charge during the period of the fallout with India, calling the process questionable. Now, he wants to reform it. Haq says Bangladesh wants to move quickly to resolve disputes with India and maintain sincere and cordial relationship with its neighbour across the board, including sports. But even as Dhaka talks cricket diplomacy, ties remain tense in the skies. Bangladesh has now banned SpiceJet from flying in its airspace over pending dues. With Dhaka's airspace closed, some flights from Kolkata, including services to Guwahati, are now taking longer routes. SpiceJet says that it is in regular touch with authorities over operational and procedural issues, including navigation-related charges. Now, no parent should ever have to bury their child because a system and a doctor chose death over care, help or love. In fact, a